Informative, educative, and analytical. Getting to the real issues that affect an ordinary individual in areas of leadership, governance, social, and economy. The truth, the lies, and politics.
A very good evening to the viewers on Spirit TV. Well, my name is Paul Ekurot Eki, and this is a dynamic space where ideas collide, opinions ignite, and perspectives are challenged across the table. I do invite you to a place where we talk about issues that affect you and I on a daily, but also have an opportunity to pass on information so that we can make the right decisions in life. Well, you and I can narrow the gap in our society and communities by engaging in these kinds of discussions and being able to enlighten one another. Well, you can be a part of the conversation when you go to our socials, that is on Facebook, on X, that is formerly Twitter, and on YouTube at Spirit TV UG. Please get to the comment section, leave a question or a comment. We'll be glad to read it later on. We'll have phone numbers where you can be able to call through. You know, this is another evening where we do engage in one of the hot conversations within the community. And just before I introduce my guests, this message is for you. Land eviction in Uganda remains a deeply rooted challenge, driven by historical injustices, legal gaps, and socio-economic pressures. The fragmented land ownership system, comprising of Milo, freehold, leasehold, and customary tenure, continues to fuel land disputes and tensions across the country. With a growing population, urbanization, and the demand for land, evictions are on the rise. This week on The Truth, Lies, and Politics, we ask, when is eviction lawful? Are the president's directives on evictions being ignored? Or is Uganda simply running out of space? This and much more on Spirit TV. Stay informed, stay engaged. And we do welcome you into the studio. This is The Truth, Lies, and Politics on Spirit TV. And I will have the opportunity of diving straight into, you know, our conversation, but also introducing our guests. And it's something, you know, if you have your ear to the ground, the issue of land, which is a factor of production, has become a sticky issue in our country, and we've had people being evicted from several areas in the they called homes, or they were settlers, or in different scenarios. But the issue of land is terrible because people have even killed each other over land. Families have split over land. And you know, the president has made, you know, directives on land issues. We wait to see how these have turned out before, and now we wait to see how it will turn out later on. So this evening, as we engage in the conversation around unpacking the visible and invisible forces driving the land evictions, I have the opportunity of introducing my guest this evening. To my immediate left is an advocate, and he will help us understand issues on land matters. It's his very first time on the show, Mr. Mukisa Joshua, or rather, Council Mukisa Joshua. Welcome to the show and good evening.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. Brief and to the point. Another guest on the show is a gentleman who also is his maiden appearance on the show, Engineer Olenge Tony, who is a natural resource consultant. Welcome to the show and good evening.
Good evening, my brother.
Yes.
I bring you warm greetings from Kekwar Acholi, because I also represent the cultural institution.
Kekwar Acholi.
Yes, I'm a very proud young man who supports the cultural institution.
Wonderful.
As a team lead for research and documentation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amazing. I like the way you dress. You're smart.
I am from Gulu.
Gulu.
Originally born in Pade.
Yeah, okay.
Kekwa Acholi.
And I thank him for pronouncing guru very well. Some people call it guru. When somebody calls it guru, investigate the DNA. Thank you.
The one whom you have just heard complimenting is, you know, a government representative, an assistant RCC, that is none other than Mr. Job Matua. Always happy to have him on set. Assistant RCC Arua City, and we're glad to have him this evening. Good evening and welcome to the show once again.
Good evening, Onachi,
Yes.
and good evening, my fellow panelists.
Yes.
Good evening, countrymen and women.
Yes.
Matua Job Richard is my name. You are truly Assistant Resident City Commissioner Arua City, but for this particular conversation,
Yes.
I represent 3 bodies. I am the flag bearer of socio-economic transformation of Northern Uganda. My political agenda that I have decided to pursue in this current office where I am, exclusively.
Yes.
You don't find me in these other dramas, but society transformation. Number 2, I am the future Vice Chairman NRM for Northern Uganda to be after Honorable Hamson Oboa serving his term.
The future Vice Chairman.
Yes, I'm currently supporting the Honorable Hamson Oboa, but I will replace him. And I've told him that we have agreed on principle. Now, then, I am representing the office of the president here, for which I will defend the executive order number 2 of 2025.
Wonderful.
This question bothers the politics, bothers to the economy, and the survival of the people of Northern Uganda. Hence, an existential threat we must debate objectively.
Interesting introduction right there, Mr. Matua. Thank you very much for coming to the Matua.
Matua.
Yes,
you
Matua.
Come quickly. Yes.
Matua.
That's a Lugara name.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Identity. All right. Mr. Charles Romushana is the one at the extreme end. He is a political analyst, but also a former spy. And we're glad to have you on the show. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
The Almighty God of all creation is great. And the Almighty God of all creation is exceedingly merciful. The message I have for you today, and I will be very brief. Sometime back, I told you about people we call insane. Those on the roadside, those who eat from Kasasiro. And I told you, I've never seen a church hold a requiem mass for any of them when they die. We don't pray for them to have their souls rest in peace. And in their state, they don't pollute the environment, they don't pollute our waters, they don't manufacture fake drugs, they don't distribute fake drugs. But I would love to add today that you will never hear any of them declare war to kill others. Neither are they involved in wars. By the way, even when there are wars, I'm not very sure we are bothered about their death. We fight our wars and we even bomb them. But remember, they are human beings, born of the same mother and father like the way we are.
Yes.
And they are a creation of God. And you know God doesn't make mistakes in creation.
No.
But above all, you and your child cannot stay in the lives in which they are. Eat from where they eat, sleep where they sleep. Even pick sleep where they sleep. If you are to be in that situation, I doubt you would pick sleep. They do. And they are alive. Meaning, God listens to them. They pray for their lives and God listens to their lives. But have we ever heard any of them boast that God listens to them? For us, even when we are not very sure God listens to us, we will want to tell all congregations and become agents of God. To give blessings, to invite miracles. We even advertise, come, God is about to perform a miracle. We advertise him as if he is bread. They never do that. And yet, God listens to them.
Wow. Thank you very much, Charles, and sober reminder and also the responsibility.
Oh, have you ever seen anyone? Have you ever seen them in the morning?
No, no.
That one of them has died and...
They just move on.
You go to the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Most of these Catholic churches, you will find them there.
You know, Syria has taken us to deep end of philosophy.
You will find them there. You don't find them crying or mourning that one of them has died, but they are there.
But it's a careful
places of worship, they are there.
Thank you very much, Charles, for that. Gentlemen, I would like for us to dig into the conversation on land and what has been happening. You've had several people being chased from certain areas because of land, but also that was in the northern region in Acholiland. But we've had all over the country there are people being evicted and thrown off land. And one wonders why this keeps on happening. One wonders even after directives from the president, this keeps on persisting. But just to shine more light, I'll start with the legal minds. Just to let us know, what land evictions are, when are they enforced, when are they legal, when are they illegal. Then we can take on the other directions of our conversation. Councillor Joshua, you can take it on there.
Thank you very much. I would like to begin the conversation from the genesis. The Constitution of Uganda provides for the different tenures of land, and it shows how someone can be evicted from their land, including the requirements that have to be fulfilled, even in the event that the government wants to take over land. So Article 26 provides for that.
Okay.
And says the people can own land. Land cannot be taken from them unless they have received prior adequate compensation.
Okay.
And it's according to the law.
Okay.
Now, in terms of Article 237, it shows the various land tenure systems. We have the customary land, we have the Milo land, we have the freehold and leasehold.
Okay.
Now, the people that have ownership of land through these different tenures are legal persons.
Recognized by the law.
Recognized by the law.
All right.
But there's also another section of people that have a registrable interest in land.
What do you mean by registrable interest?
At the case of Julius Rabinovi versus Hopper in Somwe, it shows in instances, for example, there's a spouse and the husband, they're living together, and then the husband wants to sell off the marital home.
Okay.
He cannot do that without the consent of the spouse.
All right.
Then when you look at the way the Constitution was constructed, is that there is a lawful occupant and a bona fide occupant of land.
What's the difference between the two?
So the difference is that the people that stayed on particular portions of land before 1980 were deemed lawful occupants of land.
For what?
Lawful occupants.
Before when?
That is before 1980.
Now, afterwards, we have the bona fide occupants.
Okay.
And how does bona fide occupancy come about? That if someone has been staying on land and they have enjoyed possession of it silently for a period of 12 years, they can become recognized persons that own that land. They are bona fide occupants
Okay.
of that given land. So they can claim adverse possession of that property. And that is why it is important for some of the owners of land, in case you leave your land there for a period of 12 years and the person comes and stays on it,
Then
they can claim legal ownership of that particular land.
12
So their
years.
interest is registrable. Now, in instances of evicting people,
yes.
we have seen that there have been different directives that have been issued by the president. But when you look at sections 29, 30, and 31 of the Land Act, you get to see that people cannot simply be evicted off land. It has to be done in a lawful manner, especially when there has been a court order. And politically, there have been statements issued that a tenant cannot actually be kicked out of the land unless they have failed to pay their rent. So always, it has to be looked at in a legal lens, because it is a very sensitive matter.
Yes.
The Constitution recognizes that all the land in Uganda, the citizens have a vested interest in it. And the government of Uganda holds it in trust for the people. So no one can simply come and claim that they are going to evict you of that land. But there's also an issue where
no one can, no one should.
No one can and no one should. Of course, many people claim that they have the authority to evict you of the land using trickery. Because you see, a situation may come up in, for example, a Milo land owner, and a landlord perhaps says, I'm going to force you to accept this compensation because I have interest over the land. But that is denied. Now, for the people who own customary land, of course, there's the issue, you know, customary land, historical land, it has not been registered. There's a provision where people can register this customary land and they receive certificates. But even in that instance, you cannot simply acquire land fraudulently and claim, I have registered the title in this particular section of land, therefore I'm going to evict the people that have been residing
in that land.
It would be very wrong and it's unlawful. And so that is the thing that you get to see happens a lot. You find that the rich people, for example, come into an area, they buy the land through underhanded mechanisms.
Yes.
And the victims who may not have direct access to legal recourse, they do not have the knowledge on how the land tenure systems are governed, many times simply fold. They're taken off their land and they now cry, you know, for we have been negatively affected.
Yes.
And the other thing now that we are seeing is that we are getting into a political season. There are things which should not be politicized. So if you get down and look at the issues of the Balaalo, for example, the Constitution of Uganda provides for the different people, you know, the tribes that are recognized in Uganda.
Yes.
And the Balaalo have not been defined. As
no one has actually broken it down.
You understand?
Yes.
It has not been defined, and it is not among, you know, these protected.
So where did this word Balaalo come from?
So the Balaalo word is mainly a description
of a certain kind of people.
Of a certain kind of people who are mainly cattle herders. They take care of the cattle and they live a nomadic life. So
interesting.
They happen to go to the north. And now people are looking at it as a tribal conflict that is taking place in northern Uganda.
Okay.
They said, okay, the people in the north do not like the Balaalo. But who are the Balaalo really? This is not to say a recognized tribe.
All right. I thank you for that breakdown, and I know that it speaks into what we are going to conversate. I'm getting to you, Mr. Matua. But I'd like to get to the gentleman from the cultural, you know, institution, from Acholi himself. You know, because this is a sticky issue, and it's the one that is prominent around where we are talking about. Why are you people chasing? Allow me to say, why are you people? Because it's the information that is coming from Gulu, all right? Why are these individuals being chased? You have about 2.2 million Acholis. You have about 15,000, you know, Balaalo who are in that area. I think almost 1 million, you know, cattle herds that are in that region, and vast pieces of land, you know. Why would somebody be sent away? And yet, Article 29E of the Constitution says anyone can live anywhere in this country if they follow the legal procedures of, you know, settling on the land. What is happening even in Acholiland? You can add to that.
Thank you, my brother. I just need to start by correcting you,
yes,
by telling you that one of the most hospitable groups of people among the tribes in this country are the Acholi. That's a fact. You can test. That's a fact. That the most hospitable group of people in Uganda are the Acholi people. You can try it out on an experiment. Okay? Number two, if we're talking about land as a resource, I think this is something we need to correct in this country. Land as a natural resource, we talk about it, we should not talk about just the surface of the land, which the Balaalo and the cultivators are dealing with. But we should also know land as a resource also provides wealth from underneath. That is a debate that we'll also talk on later.
Okay.
But most importantly, if we're discussing this Balaalo situation, it is very important to understand, for instance, in this case, why did we have blank or vast amounts of land as it is seen in the region. I think when you look at it carefully, you'll start to realize that during the NRA war, when they were trying to fight to get to power, and then the post-NRA war, okay? The 90s coming to the 2000s, a lot of cattle was lost from Acholi, okay? And if you look at the numbers,
you were cattle herders
originally the people of Acholi kept their wealth in cattle and land itself.
Okay.
So if you look at the numbers of cattle that were lost, they were in thousands, over 200,000 plus. And for us who have grown and researched about that fact, if you read academic papers that were written on that war and how cattle was lost, you'd realize that the people who took the cattle are the people who fought the war, the NRA soldiers. However much they blamed it on the Karamojongs, but it's a fact that it is the NRA who are now the people in government
who took the cattle? 200
plus herds of cattle from Acholi. And the people of Acholi organized themselves and sued government. These are facts. Took government to court. The president found that it was going to be a tricky situation for government and opted for out-of-court settlement. That is when they formed what they call the Acholi War Debt Claimants Association to negotiate and demand for the release and the compensation of the cattle. That you see now, the Teso elders are also crying for. The same with the Lango areas.
People compensation has been going on for a while.
Now, what happened is that compensation, that negotiation that the president requested from the Acholi elders, who then took the government to court, was in goodwill, I believe. But I think nothing was done about it, as we've seen. I would call it systematic delays to pay back the cattle of the Acholi people up to now. And it has been very painful that you see most of the elders have died, okay? And many keep to die without getting the cattle. And I think politically, some of the elders from Teso found it strategic enough to move to Honorable Robert Chagolanyi for the NUP to put some political pressure, okay? I believe those elders know that by going to him, they would put pressure. And I think we saw the vice president making a statement thereafter. Now, moving to that systematic delay, you'd find that after every 5 years, because let us say Matwa had 1,000 herds of cattle, okay? After every 5 years, government in its repayment program or restocking program would give him one cow. That is like giving you one leg of the cows that you are supposed to receive over time.
Okay.
So that is more or less an insult that was given, or a political situation that was supposed to be handled well, but it was mishandled by government.
Engineer Nanya,
now,
how is that an insult considering the numbers? You're not the only people who...
I'm giving you context. I'm giving you context. You will see how it has been an insult to the people.
All right.
Yeah. Number two, then came the LRA war. Okay? The Acholis were forced into internally displaced camps. Were forced. The people of Acholi, I was born in 1995. By that time I could tell. The people of Acholi were forced into internally displaced camps. They were not interested in going to the camps.
Okay.
This NRA government took over power, and government is mandated by international law even to take care of life and property. They failed on their part to take care of life and property. They forced people of Acholi into concentration camps.
For safety purposes.
And I will give you a fact, it is not for safety purpose. That was the language used. But Romoshana was an RDC in Pade. He knows very well that people were killed in the IDP camps. And this was in a mixture of both the UPDF and the LRA. These are records that are there and they're documented properly. Right. Now, I'm giving you more context. Post-LRA,
yes,
the recovery programs for northern Uganda, you saw what happened. PRDP funds were stolen. Almost all the programs had theft. NUSAF 1, 2, 3, and now NUSAF is coming to NUSAF 4. NUSAF 3 is what even hurt me most. That's where we saw the Nelson Tugume project of Inspire Africa Coffee being funded by NUSAF 3.
They launched the coffee.
And in Gulu, they opened something called Inspire Africa Coffee Center, where when they came to Romoshan, if you move to the north and see that structure, you'll cry. It is leaking, the roof is leaking, there is no business going on. But they spent, and they came and told the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament that they used 3.6 billion something to teach the people of Acholi, or the young people of Acholi, how to drink coffee. How do you teach me how to drink coffee and you spend 3 billion of Northern Uganda Social Action Fund that was meant for post-war recovery was being eaten by a clique and mafias in this government? The Tugumes represent proxies within government. I'm giving you context.
But I'd like
NUSAF has been extended. Let me give you
I'd
context.
like to add on to that, just what you said. Do you know that Uganda has overtaken Ethiopia in coffee exports as we speak of today?
That overtaking of Ethiopia in coffee export doesn't matter if you disadvantage one part of the region because of that. Because now this is the build-up of the problem that we're seeing. Post that, you see NUSAF has been extended up to Busoga. When did Busoga become Northern Uganda? Because NUSAF in full is Northern Uganda Social Action Fund. So when did we start seeing Busoga become part of Northern Uganda?
Okay.
So what are we doing as a government? I'm still giving you context.
Okay.
Now, with all that situation, the NRA war, LRA came, the IDP camps, you refused, or the program was not handled well. People looted money for the resettlement of the Acholi people. The people came back to the camp, from the camps, and there was no proper structure. Elders who knew the boundaries of land were lost during the war. We were the generation of the IDP camps. We don't even know the boundaries of the land. So there was internal land conflicts among the Acholis themselves. Okay.
First of all.
But two. Post that, then they started. Then we started now seeing interest in the land in Acholi because now there was space. Interest started coming.
From who?
The first interest started coming in from the cultivators, commercial farmers. That's why when you go
within Acholi themselves.
No, commercial farmers, white settlers.
Okay.
If you go to Nwaya, you will see large commercial farms. If you go to Amoro, you see large commercial farms. You see the likes of Atiak even have now gotten space there. Madivani for the sugar project, which we are questioning up to now because we've not seen any crystal of sugar from Atiak. Now, later on, we started seeing another group, the cattle farmers started coming in, one by one. That's how the Balaalo started coming in. That's how we got the space. So when the Balaalo came in, they were well received. Like I was saying to Romushana that one of the most hospitable groups of people in this country are the Acholis. And the Balaalos were received, that is your context with politicians. The Balaalos were well received. Others who even got to negotiate for land with the locals
were given land.
I will give you context. In Ukidi, there's an old man who sold his land to a Molalo. I think the Molalo wanted 400 acres of land. The man sold his land. And all the 400 the Molalo wanted, and even gave the Molalo 20 more acres. Where do you get that kind of hospitality in this country? So for the Acholi people to start resenting Balaalo, then we should question what went wrong. Because they've been there for more than over 10 years, or even more. Because others started coming. I think people now started seeing the influx when this situation started coming. I've moved for these negotiations, for these mediations with the paramount chief. Yes, I personally was sent by the paramount chief of Acholi to mediate conflicts with the Balaalo. I know what I was saying. You will see guys moving with the AK-47, and you'd ask the RDC and the security team, and they have no say over it. So what was the balance of power? Here is a desperate young man or a desperate old family that doesn't have money. They don't have the guns. You on the other side, you have weapons. You on this side, you have the money, and you're using the cows, and you're using a blend of all that power dynamics to take over land. So that should give you the context of why the Balaalo situation started coming up. And the other thing that really got the anger built up in the community so much was that the Balaalo do not want to settle and agree to the norms of the Acholi people, integrate or understand how the Acholi people behave. And we are a communal entity, okay? Everything is shared communally. So you'll find somebody has bought land and fences of water bodies, fences of a whole stream.
That are not part of his land or that are part of...
Even if you have 10 acres of land and a stream passes through your land, it is a communal property. Just like government would say you don't have access to a lake. Number two, these guys took their arrogance. And I'm not saying all the Balaalo are bad people. Some of them were well behaved. I have met the Balaalos. I've even given them advice to even form the associations so they could discipline themselves internally. something they felt. If you ask a gentleman called Bariche, he will tell you.
Sometimes not. Okay.
So the Balaalo went with their arrogance to far extents to provoke anger from the Acholi people. Remember, this is a group that lost the cattle. They don't see compensation, but they see it as if it was an intended move on a quiet arrangement to disempower them of cattle, to create space in their land so you can bring yours. So you can bring yours.
So
because let me tell you, the local man in the community in Acholi there knows that this land, this cattle, is not for this ordinary man moving with a stick. The big people are there.
There's someone behind.
That is why President Museveni passed several executive orders and none was implemented almost. How do you see it on an executive order? It means that the people who are supposed to implement are the ones having the cattle. All right. The real owners, the real Balaalos are in Kampala. These ones on the ground are just basically common people. The last context I wanted to make that angered people was when people started to realize 2-3 months ago, and this was kept in the administration of the cultural institution, when Emulalo, let me get his name right, Emulalo called, this is the level of arrogance we are talking about.
All right.
When Emulalo called Rabushaja Geoffrey, yes, on 26th of December 2023, through a company called a Mwebasa Company Advocate, sued the paramount chief of Acholi, demanding 1.6 billion shillings.
For what?
Now, this Molalo went into a land conflict with the people of Acholi, with the local community that gave him land. His animals strayed in the farms, and so the community started revolting and said, please, you cannot give us 20,000 having destroyed 2 acres of land, okay, of our cultivation. So the issue was reported to the cultural institution. The paramount chief came to mediate the conflict. This man with his arrogance went and sued the paramount chief. The case is in court, and this is the document I shared with council. So how do you sue the custodian of land? Because land in Acholi is managed customarily, and the custodian of the customary tenureship are the cultural chiefs. So who are you suing in this case?
And you being arrogant also by saying, you mean I can't sue you? People have sued the president, you know.
Well, there are limits. There are limits to everything.
All right.
And I think this executive order came in time because I think the president was trying to read into what I would call human intelligence. Because I think the president was trying to avoid a lot of conflicts that would arise.
Thank you very much. We've had the definition of the land and evictions and everything. We have had the picture of what is happening in the north. Presidential directives, very quickly. I would like to take you on that. Mr. Matua, and then we shall have Charles close out this hour, and then we shall come back.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Very quickly.
First of all, I would like to...
You have a microphone.
I would like to thank Spirit TV for giving me opportunity to address the question of Balaalo in northern Uganda. Thank you very much. Yes. For my tech. Who is Emulalo? Is Emulalo a Lubara like me?
According to the legal mind,
is Emulalo a Muteso like you, the moderator? Is Emulalo a Muganda like a Mutebi? Is Emulalo a Muchiga like a senior Romosana? Is Emulalo a Muhima like Kaguta? Who is Emulalo? If we can answer that question objectively, that Emulalo is not a tribe, then the people who are framing a tribal question in it are diverting us. They are diversionary. We must question their motives. They could be agents, surrogates of the mafia disturbing the people of northern Uganda. Now, if you go to 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, as amended, the 3rd schedule, where it lists the tribes in Uganda that were in existence at the 1st of February 1926, the 64 tribes listed there. There is a North tribe called the Mulalu. So I want to invite those who are saying we are being tribal. Which tribe is called Mulalu? It is a very primitive argument. Now, we have now agreed that Emulalo is not a tribe. The lawyer said Emulalo is not a tribe.
It's not back down.
Thank you very much, Councillor Balinyo. Now, what is the question then about Balaalo in northern Uganda? Mr. Moderator, let me go to the heart of the question.
Yes, please.
The problem is the failure to integrate, assimilate, cooperate with the host community.
He mentioned part
Now,
of it.
the Balaalo have gone with arrogance, indiscipline, and impunity of the highest order.
These people who are not a tribe.
We must probe who is giving these Balaalo the unnecessary kajanja, amalala, obuyinja power.
They even made these people Uganda. Come on now.
Now, I can tell you, these shoes I have put on,
yes,
was sold to me by a Mufumbira from Kisoro, who is settled in Arua.
Who is settled in Arua.
This suit I'm wearing was sold to me by a Muganda, who is settled in Arua.
All right.
The hair, the weave my wife is wearing was sold to her by a lady called Juliet from Kabale, who is settled in Arua, even in bought land. Yes? They are there. I have even encouraged her to marry now a Lubara so that she could improve the breed of our children. She's really, truly beautiful. I even told her if I was not married, I could have proposed to her. You want to tell me that these are the people who are tribal? Obote's wife, Mama Milia Kalule Obote, is a Moganda. Is Obote a tribalist?
No.
Actually, Honorable Jimmy Akena is a progeny. A progeny is an offspring, a child born between a Langi and a Moganda.
So where is the problem?
The problem is failure to integrate with the host community. Can you imagine a Mulalo taking the cattle to somebody's garden? Are you saying that? Should that person clap for that Mulalo, sing glory over our dead body? Now, the Balaalo in West Nile is a case of poverty of the mind Promax.
So you also have Balaalo in the West Nile region.
Yes. The Balaalo, it is a poverty of the mind of my own people. It is our own stupidity. And I want to explain, that's why I'm calling it poverty of the mind Promax. Now, along the river Nile there, the community of West Nile there, there are families with very many animals. You can find a family with 300 herds of cattle. Then this family invites a Mulalo to take care of the cattle.
Because they do it
Then
better.
the Mulalo says, I don't want salary, leave the milk to me. The milk, which is now the economy that works, if I can borrow from Dr. Ramadani Gobi, now you surrender to a Mulalo. The Mulalo who came yesterday has bought a motorcycle, is now vending the milk with it, has bought land in the town is there, is putting up a permanent house. Now, the owner of the cattle is sleeping in a grass-thirsty house which is leaking, is having malnourished children. What do you call that? That's the poverty of the mind, Promax. I blame the local leader. When I went to Obongi, I went to the priest of the Catholic Church there. I told the priest, St. Paul wrote letters to the Romans, Galatians, the Corinthians. You are Romans are the people here. What kind of letters are you writing to them? The Romans is here. What are the local leaders doing there? By the way, the Balaalo in the Western Nile are employees brought by our own people. That's why there are no question of conflict there. Now, the population that we are displaced in internal displaced camp spent 35 years in concentration camp because of the long war. This is about 4 generations in IDP.
Not concentration.
Okay.
IDP is a concentration camp.
Okay.
He's another DC.
Let's understand this context.
He's another DC.
Please. Let me. I withdraw that.
IDP.
Please.
Give me a chance.
He's saying in his capacity as RCC,
Yes, I have accepted.
Concentration camps.
Internally displaced camps. The person that was displaced there spent 35 years in especially Acholi and Lango. 35 years. These are about 4 generations in the camp, which is now returning home. Some of these children, like him, the children of the IDPs, they don't even know the boundaries of their land. That population then needed to be mobilized for mindset change, and it has returned to the villages without anything. Land, which is their only wealth. Land is both capital and a factor of production.
Yes.
Please, Mr. Moderator, if you are landless, you are a destitute, you are nobody without address. Now, that population you want to dispossess of their only wealth, you might create 3 problems. Number
Even
one,
when they feel
you can
sold
even
it.
create a rebellion, another rebellion.
Even when they feel sold it.
Number 2, you are doing economic sabotage of that population.
Right.
Number three, you create a political question. That's where I am now going. Now,
Right.
the political... let me finish. The political question then. Some opposition political elements in Acholi sub-region particularly had started mobilizing against the government using the question of Balaalo, their arrogance, and what have you. Now, this is, if we had not solved that problem, then it would lead to loss of votes in Acholi sub-region. Now I want to ask you, should we wait to first lose, and then we lose Acholi sub-region, when Uganda has rejected now NRM, then we lose power and we solve the problem after losing power? It did not vote for NRM in the last election. I want to be very objective. These are
The two are different.
Yeah.
NRM got 1 million votes. That's a lot.
Oh, thank you very much. But then, the question then I'm asking is, should we wait to first lose Acholi sub-region and come to resolve the problem after losing the election? Which is saying politician can do that.
Right.
In fact, I want to thank His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni Kaguta for Executive Order number 2. It will make us win Acholi sub-region.
All right.
Now,
can I
please,
put a pause on that one?
Please, lastly.
Okay, lastly.
The Balaalo we are evicted from Bunyoro sub-region, Bulisa. It was not called tribalism. They were evicted from Tanzania. It was not called tribalism. They are now, some of them are now in Benin, in West Africa.
It's still not.
It is not called tribalism.
Even in Teso, they were.
Yes. Who is calling the eviction of Balaalo from northern Uganda a tribal question? I met a younger man today, whom I happened to teach at St. Henry's College Chitov when I was called to facilitate. Now, this younger man is also one of the Balaalo people in northern Uganda. He raised an objective question to me. This young man said, it is true, now they want these people to first leave before they do verification. His question was, where do they want them to go temporarily as they do the verification? That question I refer it to the government body. If they can find a government ranch where maybe in Akasongola where they can keep them there temporarily, as we short the question of which Mulalo obtained the land legally, that is okay. Finally.
You said finally in the last one.
Finally.
All right.
It's a very important issue, my dear. The government body is submitting. There are some senior government officials who are actually awakened by the continuous preaching of our president about wealth creation. These government officials, Nicholas Opio has alluded to some of them in his post today. Senior counsel, Nicholas Opio.
Yes.
Some of these government officials are using some unscrupulous people in Acholi sub-region particularly, and Lango, to obtain land using a bad method. Similar cases we have in Mubende, in Bunyoro, in Kasanda, what we call the land grabbing thing.
All right.
You get me?
Okay.
Now, so this could be the Balaalo. My brother is referring to them being in Kampala, who are not being represented by those who are on the ground. Maybe they are the one giving those other ones unnecessary obuyinja to express unnecessary impunity.
Okay.
My request, my submission is that, please, dear Balaalo, you are not a tribe. Kindly first move your animals away.
Where?
If the people say, we northerners are against the other tribe, General Salimu Saleh the Great is settled in Guru. Do you know how much we are happy because of his presence?
Saleh is not the great.
Do you know how much, to me, he's the great.
Okay. All right. Can we hear? No, allow me here from Charles.
If I leave it on the way,
we shall come back and conclude it.
You don't know him.
We shall come back and conclude it. Let's hear from Charles. Let's hear from Charles. You're protected. Don't worry. Let's hear from Charles and get back to you.
I've said something involving a key figure which I need to complete. Do you know that for 2 months, General Salim Saleh was sent to Karamoja over Karachona issues? Do you know the economy in Guru City was almost grounded? The many government officials who go there to try to see him, they spend the nights in Guru City. We are happy because they give us money.
Right.
Who has evicted him from there?
Okay.
My wife is a Munyoro. I have given my daughter the name of my first girlfriend from Buyanja Sub-County, Rokunjiri district, Musimenta. My son, I've given the name of the late Justice Kenneth Kakuru. Do you want to say I'm a tribalist? So the tribal undertone must be discarded
you
completely.
Could be an expansionist. But anyway, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Matua. Very passionate, and we're happy to have you on the show. Now, I would like to hear from Charles, but I would like for us just to take a short break, and we will start from Charles and then proceed with our conversation. This is Spirit TV, and this is The Truth, Lies and Politics. Your questions, please address them onto our socials, that is on X, on Facebook, and on YouTube at Spirit TV UG, and would love to hear from you. Otherwise, stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages.
The truth, the lies, and politics. Informative, educative, and analytical. Getting to the real issues that affect an ordinary individual in areas of leadership, governance, social, and economy. The truth, the lies, and politics